Whoa.
I'm so happy to
Man,
be
I'm gonna go
here.
do that
Welcome
again.
To this world. This was
Yeah,
all
do it again.
the community.
I wanna do it again for the stream.
Thank you so much for
Bro,
the show. Hey, nice to meet you. Hope you guys enjoy it. Nice to see another girl here.
Thank you for joining us.
I like your glasses. That's really cool.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Look at that. How incredible.
Oh, wow.
Wow, man. That is so good. That is so good.
That's mental.
I want help. I want everyone help.
That's fun.
It's amazing.
I like
What's going on, guys? I'm just going to get back here for a second. This is the chat show. Check out what goes made. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
Just want to state, man, that Jimmy made that music. Jimmy done that
live.
music.
Played live.
Thank you.
Sorry,
recorded.
I didn't mean to leave you hanging there.
So cool, guys.
Right now.
All 50 seconds of the glory. Yeah, it was good fun.
Did you play the music, Jimmy?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you play it?
Yeah,
really
good
well done,
stuff.
man. This is
Yeah.
awesome. This is really good.
Yeah, I decided to cover it. I thought, I fancy doing that.
Is it
I kind of made it sound a bit like it as well. So.
Yeah,
I'm streaming,
we're
dude.
good.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
It's awesome.
I'm streaming too.
Let's go on
Everyone's
tour. Get to the show.
Everybody's
I'll
streaming.
come in last, man.
Get
I'm
rolling.
coming last. Everybody,
Yo,
Blue
preach.
watching. How you doing, Chuck? You good?
Oh, so loud.
Blue watch? Good to go. Here. Pound it right. Who's going to lead? Jimmy, do you want to lead the way, man? Oh, you on the...
Okay.
Because we're...
Okay.
You might not go with
Everyone
us. Everyone follow Jimmy.
Welcome.
Okay, so
I was trying to start the stream.
Famous, you got it. Shug. Everybody okay?
Everyone follow...
Good to go.
Follow the Scottish guy.
Let's go.
Everyone follow the Scottish guy.
All right.
Cheers for coming, boys. Just so you'll come with us.
Yeah.
Pound it up, bud. Oh, your hands are not there. You ready, guys?
Yeah, he's starting up.
Alright, cool.
Got
Look
juice.
at this.
Gamertag.
A fist.
Yeah,
Amazing
man.
how many people can
Amazing What the
What's up?
Fantastic.
Give us a shout out to all these guys over here creating all these rooms.
Absolutely
Look
fantastic.
at the cartridges.
Oh, I spelled your name wrong.
Welcome to the PSVR chat show, hosted by
Do you know what I'm gonna
Gamertag
do again
VR.
while I've got time?
Do we have to go at the same time?
He's doing it again.
Today,
I figured.
we have Anna Ribeiro, project manager, lead developer of Pixel Ripped 1989. What's this? Go now. Off to class. Thank you guys for joining in. You guys are the best. Oh,
Good job.
oh man.
This is great.
Seraphim
So crazy.
the level here. But yeah, they're just a bit more interactive to walk into. The guys wire it up so we can. We just keep walking.
Sorry about the
keep walking forward.
mosquitoes. They might bite.
This is so cool. The leaves.
Wow.
This is wild.
Red
A little
Green
bite
gave
doesn't
particles, which is great, so that helps as well. But
Really.
He made everything pixel art here. It's quite impressive, you know, all this work. And Master looks exactly like Master.
Look at this. Anyone who's played Pixel Rip.
Faces dropping.
Oh yeah, that looks fantastic. It's like some Final Fantasy 1 characters.
smashed it, man.
We're in 2D, 3D. 2D, 3D.
Damn right.
3D,
Welcome to the party.
2D, 3D.
3D.
Wow.
to the new medium.
Man,
Like,
like,
it's happened because of you guys.
you can see like
you guys.
built
Oh, absolutely,
every
Velp.
bit.
Thank you very much. I've just got Brian and Velp and Sean coming.
The bad guys out there.
Yo.
Everyone's streaming. Everyone's streaming.
The most complex chat show ever made.
Oh yeah, it's like a big school
Wow.
to organize.
Yeah,
it.
crazy.
Look at this. I want a special thanks to Dorky and Velp.
Yes.
They were extremely big help. They helped us make it.
Yeah, great job, guys.
Instead of just a jumping art piece like we're capable of doing. They're taking us to the
Burger
next
King,
level.
man.
Thank you
Good
guys
job, man.
for what you're doing.
Massive,
Thank you so much.
Really well done.
awesome work.
Of course,
Yeah,
to
bro,
Jason,
How you doing, man?
Thank you, thank you,
Awesome
thank you.
Seraphim,
Thank you.
Jimith. Those guys
Thank you.
worked hard on this stuff too every time.
Dude.
So much stuff.
We still
Everyone
miss Brian.
And
The snozberries.
So
What's
good.
on VR God?
Savage.
Hey, what's up, dude?
How's it going?
Hey,
I
good.
didn't realize, man. When's
Sorry, I just sent you another one. That was me. My
Who
bad.
you are?
Oh,
Oh,
well,
no.
I go by a few different names, but VR God in Rec Room. I usually
Look at
play
this
as
guy.
Super
Look at
Tramp
this
Yuki.
guy. Look. It's the wizardy bloke.
Okay, sure.
The wizardy blokes.
Wizardy bloke.
It's a mysterious guy. It's called Master. He doesn't have a name.
Master, yeah.
He
Master.
doesn't have a name.
Obey, master.
The Master.
The master.
Well, now he's got a new name.
Mysterious.
Can we not call it Wizardy Bloke?
Yeah, that's a good name.
All hail
GT, quick name for a character.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that though. I like the fact that.
One day we reveal his identity.
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
Secrets already. Just
Wizardy Bloke.
He's a ninja.
Maybe like the next time you actually make one.
Man, look at this.
P5s?
Yep, pretty phenomenal.
Right, where's Jimmy, man? Jimmy, what's next?
It's crazy walking through it.
We have the
Actually physically walking through it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Would you through it?
And I'm asking
This isn't how it's supposed
Deep
to
breath.
Ooh, stuck.
Sorry,
Let me get it. That's right. No worries. Whoa. Who doesn't want to jump in the well?
I think Anna's loving this.
This is awesome.
I feel like we're on a trampoline. What's going on here? Now let's go get schooled by Anna. Come on. Let's go.
Oh, we got a schoolyard fight already.
Break it up.
Small enemies.
Now's not the time, guys.
Okay.
Alright, come on this way.
Just temporarily.
Let's keep the party going.
Pixel Skull.
Great job, guys.
Nice.
Come on, guys.
What's this?
Do
we have to go to
be getting a new invite. Yeah,
new
he sent
invite?
out a
Yeah, let's go. Woo, craziness.
Now we're in the classroom.
We are in the classroom.
Here we go.
Look at this.
Detention.
That's so crazy when you see this.
There's so many people, I can't move.
Look at this. It's
crazy.
This is fantastic.
I've no idea.
Insane.
Alright.
And he's going to get her outfit on.
Yeah.
Choose your seats. I want the one with the Game Boy.
That's so cool.
Yes.
Did you have any bets that you needed to get in before we start?
So yeah, so the CEO, so Ricardo is the CEO of Arvoria. He wants to join too. I'm just trying to see if he's coming on. If I have to add him as a friend.
Yeah, no worries. Well, we can wait.
Get the boombox.
How do I teleport to my seat again? I can't remember how to do
here
that.
as well.
I don't
Do you know how
think
to
they
add friends?
made it
Yeah,
inactive,
man.
so
She's
you can't
just
do
as
that.
dot.
Here, man. You can borrow my Game Boy.
You just gotta like move out.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Cool.
That's what I wanted. It's awesome. Yes. Now we have something to play with while the teacher talks.
Yep.
I'm asking his username.
Yes, sir.
No, the only one just said it.
To your left. To your left, Brian. Look,
Gaming. 2-5.
Classroom food.
What's going on, Doug?
Yo,
Don't
who's
you
that?
Ryan from the
Show
Good
you.
Good?
What do you call it?
Here, man. Here. Check that out.
There we go. In the
So he's installing. Yeah, he's coming, but he's installing Rec Room again. So we can start and then he join afterwards. If that's, I can give you your to you.
Here.
Sorry, I swore.
Jason, can I message you their tag, their usernames, and then when I'm here,
in a second.
Yeah.
maybe we can join afterwards, and then you can. Cause
that have already been submitted.
I'm gonna send you on Steam. I mean on Discord. Sorry.
And then we'll
Okay,
wait.
sounds good. Back here. And I'll get them in. I'll add them on here, and then they'll have a friend request waiting for me.
Right over there.
How do I mute all of you?
It will come back in a second.
There you go.
You can have this actually.
Cool.
Here we go. Oh wow, I've got two now.
Is everyone feeling that they're dead?
That was yours.
Oh, it's great, man. I'm ready to learn.
You've ended up with a cheap edition, of the Gamecats.
Yeah, no, that's cool. This is the good. This is the portable one.
Just
More
single
portable.
player.
This is the one.
3 hours single
I
player
still
last
think
night.
that's a good deal. Are you digging it?
You can hide this one a lot better. See what I mean?
Never mind, we're streaming, aren't we?
We're streaming right now. We definitely will, right? For sure. When are you going to beat the room? Or when are you going to beat the door?
The
So
door.
good, man.
What was that?
You gotta beat the door soon, man.
Amazing.
We gotta talk about the ending of the door.
Oh, I know. I was gonna do it today, and then I ended up playing Astrobot and Catch and Release. So.
Have you seen that?
No,
Ryan,
Ryan, you need
happens.
to
It
do
does
an
happen.
entire playthrough
Yeah,
of
the
door so that I
Cyberlord,
can watch it.
and then beat
You've
it.
done amazing, dude.
I do not want to struggle.
I will tell you how to beat the door. I did it.
You got it figured.
I did it all on my own.
Ooh.
What's the playtime on that?
You get
about like 5 hours if you blast through it, but like one of the puzzles took me like a solid
Stick
hour
around,
on its
Grid.
own.
Do you like that? I made that.
Excellent stuff.
Is that like
Brian, where's
vertical,
Dave
wasn't it?
stationed at?
What's good?
Dave's not coming. He said he
Dave's
won't
not
be
coming.
able to
Make us
Oh, yeah.
slightly cheaper edition for some kids who can't afford the other
I want one of these.
Oh, yeah.
Kids.
console.
So,
Mine.
Oh,
I'm pretty curious to how many YouTubers there are right now in one room.
That's cool.
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sick, dude. It's so cool.
Salsa, here's salsa.
So let me know
So
when
I
you're
think
ready,
we
Anna.
should. Yeah, I'm ready. I just I've sent the. So yeah, Ricardo is like installing Rec Room now, so it's gonna. I don't know how long it's gonna take. But he can join us. He can join us
Salsa, how's
afterwards.
it going, man?
Oh, hey, how you doing, Jimmy?
Oh, Adam.
Yeah, right, man.
I'll see you as soon as he
Take a
comes
seat,
in.
or you can stand.
What's up, good Cannon?
Is this going to be on the
Oh,
final?
well, you know, seat down the book, back here, there's a book. I can, is this book any good? Is the book any good? Can I distract teacher?
If you switched. Would you mind
Oh,
if you
yeah.
switched?
I'm going to kind of go forwards.
Wherever you want me. Yeah. You,
Oh,
Brian, top
sorry,
right.
I've got a game
Your
there.
new chair is
Giving
been
you priority
reassigned.
sitting, sir. You get priority sitting. You're a royalty, man.
Let's play
Right
multiplayer salsa.
Wait, I don't want to move. I like my seat.
Okay, well, you can do
Play,
that.
Damon. Okay,
I just wanted to give you best
let's play, dude.
Easily
Let's
winning.
play.
Easily winning.
Did you just get
No, you're not. You just think you are.
Chicken nuggets and meatloaf. Hey,
No.
what's up,
Were you
Mark?
that kid that sat at the back of
That's
the room?
alright.
Hey,
They sat me next
if we
to
connect, if we connect these, we can battle.
I'm just going to sit everyone's seat, man.
It's like
Where
Digimon.
all this chaos goes down? In 2
I'm
seconds.
going to keep running around.
I think Brian's
Let's,
fine.
He was that kid.
That's all right.
You all good?
You want to borrow mine?
Around the game to
the back
get
while you
coffee.
get
I'm gonna
Try it out. I'm
pandemonium.
going for the high score. Look how incredible it is. So much tiny detail in this. A little Game Boy
I'm gonna
joystick.
test your contact to them, Jason. And then they add you here. You're gonna get to have their account.
Brian from the rig up here behind us. And we've got documents.
There we go. We are properly caffeinated.
Turn down the voice file off so many people can talk.
Bill, what's up, man?
Talk over top everyone.
Oh, thanks.
Can anyone
Oh, killer tricks. Sure, man.
Sure, actually starts.
We will. This will be very cool.
Killer.
Firewall tonight, though? Firewall? Anybody?
I just put the push the talk on because I was sort of like,
Me,
I
Shug.
was going to start my stream up and I didn't want to go
That's what I think you're Astrobot.
come in and, you know,
Preach is such a schoolyard bully.
I can see that. And Ryan did not learn how to share because I went to try to take his game kid and he got all like, meow.
3 days, dude. 1 or 3 days.
I don't know, you haven't been along a couple days. I was desperate for a game last night and no you, no minus. Devastated.
December the 1st. Like, what the hell kind of window was that?
Well, what to do, honestly, I swear down, right?
Yeah, so
Simplygames.co.uk.
So when you want to watch this,
They're amazing.
change the voice file off.
They're really good.
Being popular in school 101.
5 days in advance.
Let's go.
Spider-Man, like,
Or is that
really early.
Rolls.
Enough tokens.
I couldn't stream it.
Everyone.
270.
So,
That's not what I
they do a
want.
lot of games like that, and
There it
sometimes
is,
they
okay.
have them keep it at the beginning and then price
And
up,
it was
and you
at
see they're selling, so
500.
Where's it at?
it's one of them. But you'd like
Sorry,
to
Will. I meant to say hi, but I'm scrapping down a bagel sandwich. And so I was on mute. But yes, I see you.
There we go.
Can't positional audio and everyone's just too loud.
Okay.
We'll find out. I mean,
Thank you so much.
everybody wants to find out whether I'm going to shit on it.
Ooh, I want a present.
Smart man. I should have some donuts.
Yeah, I have an answer. We're good to
Yeah, man. Can't study on an empty stomach.
Crash Bandicoot. All
That's
There's
right.
a minus to say.
Tried that one.
You guys
Disloyal.
buying pizza?
No. Disloyal.
TW, you see what I'm saying?
I'm bring some beer into class.
Assorted donuts.
That seems inappropriate.
Psh,
What's the
feel like
best
we
kind of party when you
it's my middle name.
I don't even know how to do. I don't even know how to do these things.
Okay.
Get good, Shug.
We're getting started. We're getting started. Seats in class, please. Take seats in class.
Oh,
Starting.
class is starting. Oh.
Am I ready?
I throw stuff at Preacher.
Here it is.
What is this?
No.
Hey.
I did.
That's so sunny.
Cool, man. Just want to say thank you for coming, everyone. Welcome to the PSVR chat show. Today we have got Anna Ribeiro from Pixel Ripped. She's going to be the teacher for today's lesson.
Woo!
Oh my god. What a crazy lesson's gonna be this, eh? Yeah.
What is this?
Thank you for coming, Anna.
Thank you guys for doing all this. This is incredible. I'm mind-blowing. I didn't expect all this hard work, and you guys created another Pixel Ripped. It's a lot of work. I'm thankful. I'm really like impressed, and I feel like honored to be here.
Well, it's an amazing game,
thank you so much.
It's well deserved for its attention. You know, it's a great game.
So we're supposed to do a lesson here, like.
Yes.
I know everyone has everyone with your Game Boys in the desk, please.
Ready?
Wait.
I love this. Hey, can't forget a donut for the teacher here.
Oh, you.
Thank you. I'll give you. Nice. I'll give you five stars. 5 stars.
Excellent stuff. So Anna, you're an 80s kid, I believe.
Who threw that?
Nice.
I'm telling on you.
Who got paper aeroplanes, dude?
Nice catch, dude. That's crazy. Nice catch.
You know what's weird is that we're in Pixel Rift with the Pixel Rift character in real life.
That's crazy.
So Anna, you ready?
Yes. What are we gonna do? I'm ready.
It just snored you.
Oh, cool, man. So Anna,
A snorgy.
Shut up,
Anna, you're an 80s baby, yeah?
Sorry, I'm what?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're from the 80s, yeah? So for me personally, those years in terms of gaming were pretty unforgettable. So what was your first console you ever owned?
Oh my god, yeah. So probably no. Who knows what is the Odyssey? Did anyone hear about this console?
Yeah.
Odyssey,
The Odyssey?
I know what that is. Yep.
Oh my god. That was the first console. We had the Odyssey 2 actually, but the Odyssey 1 was the first video game home console. So our first console at home was the Odyssey 2, which is kind of like Atari era. And we also had a console that kind of the same time. I don't know which one came first, but we had this console called Telejogo in Brazil, which was like a Pong, one of those Pong consoles.
I had that as well. That was my first console.
Did it have the twirly knobs on it? So like you got the ping pong, the squares. Is that the one?
Yeah, it's basically just Pong.
That's the one.
There was a lot of Pong consoles around the world, so that was one of it. It was called Telejogo in Brazil. Yeah, I'm from the 80s, so that's like long time ago. I did 83, I born, so.
So what was your favourite console at that time? Because obviously when you play Pixel Ripped, there's a lot of retro games, obviously, that influenced it. So what was your favourite console?
So in Brazil, well, we have this console called Phantom System. It was like the best console. It just was released in Brazil, and you could basically play Nintendo games, but you use a Sega Genesis controllers.
What the hell?
And that was awesome.
Brazil sounds sick.
So I grew up telling everyone, oh my god, my favorite console is Phantom System. I didn't have any doubt. Like, this is my favorite console, the best games. And then later when I grew up, I discovered actually I was playing Nintendo games, Sega games all together in one.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so all that conflict that everyone had, the Nintendo, what is best, Sega and Nintendo, we just had Phantom System, like, winner, right there. So. But this is before Nintendo came to Brazil, so this is before actually Nintendo wasn't there. So it wasn't like, it wasn't illegal at the time for some reason. So this company actually...
Well, it might have been.
And this company released it. It was legit. You go in the stores and buy the console. It was legit console. Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that
That's
is.
cool.
So, what's your favourite video game?
That's so hard.
Mega Man.
Okay.
No, it's hard.
Excuse me.
I wasn't going to ask it. I've got to ask, yeah.
No. It's so lame.
Come on, Pixel Whip.
If I answer that, this is so lame. It's my game. No.
Alright, what's your favourite game from the 80s then? Your favourite 80s game from when you was younger?
The one that I feel the most nostalgic, I had the most nostalgic feeling when I play is Mega Man 2.
Yes!
I know I've been playing the other Mega Mans. I think Mega Man 10 may be the best one in gameplay, but I really love Mega Man 2 because it brings me those memories, and it was the first good Mega Man I remember. And, it's but if I'm talking about like, okay, my favorite right now, first-person shooter game. I love like multiplayer games online, so I love Left 4 Dead still. I love playing Left 4 Dead with my friends still nowadays. And I was
what a
playing.
great game!
On VR, I'm still playing a lot of Beat Saber.
We're waiting for Beat Saber. We're getting it soon.
But I have been playing a lot of old school games. Like I just bought a Nintendo Classic. I managed to find here in America. Last time I was here, it was impossible.
Is that the NES Mini?
Yeah, the NES Classic. So I got that one. I got the Sega Genesis Classic too, and I have the Super Nintendo Classic too. So I have been playing. I just finished Super Mario World, and I have been playing.
Anna, I've just
Donkey Kong 2.
You call the Super Nintendo? Do you call it a SNES?
Do you call it Super Nintendo? Yeah. In Brazil, we call it Super Nintendo.
Oh, God,
I heard her say NES, and I was like, "Yep, you're darn right."
I got excited.
She belongs to us, okay? She belongs to us.
Super Famicom, yeah, man.
Yeah, the Japanese one.
So cool. I'm going to take you back a little bit, Anna. So your sort of story into becoming a game developer is quite interesting. So before Pixel Ripped, you were working for the government and you were involved in divorces. And then after that, you decided to start your own business selling pies.
Wow.
It was actually, I actually was still working in the Just Council when I started selling the pies. It wasn't like plan ahead. I think I was trying to escape because that was a lot of bureaucratic work. I was just basically in the desk typing documents, and you had these templates that you just fill in the gaps with the number of documents, the name of people, and it was so boring for me. Like I like creating things, so I would expend my time like changing the stickers on the box of the documents. That was when I used to have most fun doing it. It was horrible. The documents itself, you couldn't change the font, so it was Times New Roman at the time, and for me that was so frustrating. I can't change this; it needs to be Times New Roman. So yeah, I worked there. I worked there for 5 years. It was nothing. I felt like I was a fish outside the water there. Pretty much. I was listening to Mario music, and for people here, hey, where is my documents? I'm listening to Mario songs. People come to me, what are you doing here? I'm like, what? I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I just. But then I think in life sometimes you just follow like what is normal to everyone, and then one moment I'm so glad I realized that I was doing something that wasn't me, and so I got to that point when I was selling pies. So the pies, sorry, it's a long story. I'll try to keep it short, but I start to bring food to
It's cool.
We have time. I like to cooking, so I bring food to my friends at work, and I bring these pies. It's called empadas. It's a Brazilian. It's like a quiche, but it's close. I call pie, but it's not. It's actually called empadas. And they really like it, and they keep asking, bring it tomorrow, bring it again. So I had to, there was so many pies, I started selling pies there, and then the people in the corridor start to smell it. They're like, bring it for us too. And then the people in the next door, like, bring it to us too, we want it. And when I realized I was selling like 5,000 pies a month, it was like,
wow.
It was going out, going crazy.
That is crazy.
That's some good pie.
I started like basically administrating.
You do pie too? I want a pie.
5,000 pies a month. That is insane.
There was a lot of pies. I had like in like 2 months I cracked it like sellers, and I had people working with me making the pies, and I was administrating this. It's kind of a small business, and then people like.
What's up?
Hey.
Did it
So.
have a name? Did your business have a name?
So yeah, what's called Empadas Quero Mais, which means I want more.
You
could never eat one pie, and you always want more pie. So I found this was the best name. And when I was I did this course to prepare to open the business to the like a restaurant shop, a pie shop. And at this course, that's where I did the decision to make video games and leave everything behind.
Why?
Yes.
What happened?
So in this course, it was like a week short course for startups, and they asked questions. It was crazy. It was like a kind of like a therapy. And then he's like, think about 5 years from now, where you want your business to be, 10 years, 15 years. I was like, yeah, I want Empadas Quero Mais to be in the whole world. And then he said something really, really important that changed my life. I actually did a TED talk about this question.
Wow.
It was my TED talk I did now in Texas and San Antonio. So I just did this TED actually on the 15th. I hope I can share with you guys later. But he asked this question, and he said, okay, now imagine that you don't have anything. You don't have business. You don't have any work, any past. You don't have any courses you've done. Forget about your family, your friends. Forget about everything. Imagine that you're born now here today, and you don't have anything, nothing. Just born now. What would you like to be doing in 5 years, in 10 years? And then suddenly that question changed it so much, because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be here.
That is an incredible story.
So that's Reality Check VR here. He just arrived. He's actually in the game.
Hey.
Yeah, I was trying to get him here.
Hey, welcome.
There he is.
What's up, dude?
Welcome.
Hey, you killed those dogs.
He's got a beer over there. It looks like he's got a beer.
Well,
I'm
congratulations on your awesome game, guys.
How you doing, man? You good?
Well. Welcome.
So yeah, and then I realized that, oh my God, I don't wanna be making pies for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And Ricky's coming through. He just sent an invite. So that was really good, because sometimes in life you need to just see things clear, and that was really important for me. And I realized, oh my God, I love playing video games, and I've been playing video games since I remember, kind of like. At home, I have 3 brothers, so I was really lucky as a woman to actually be able to play video games in the 80s. Because unfortunately, your parents didn't like games for girls. It wasn't the market. Like all the commercials were for boys. And Ricardo this year he's the CEO of Ivory, the publisher of Pixel Ripped.
Hey Ricky, let's go, man.
Oh, I love your outfit.
they did all that, so they did all this.
Oh, it's so cool.
I need to see all of this. It's just the end.
I'm doing like a lesson. I'm the teacher
I'm
now.
sorry.
So...
I'm gonna go sit down. I got in trouble.
I have a lot of donuts.
How do I distract you?
You can't give him too much sugar.
I don't know.
The best students a teacher could have. Look at this, all the donuts like that.
We would have made you pies, but we couldn't.
And you got beer over there too.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Wow, that's so nice. Beer for everyone.
Hook it up, man.
And Game Boy for everyone. That's the best. The best school.
I'm gonna have one. Yeah, man.
Shuggy.
Oh,
yeah, beer.
Get your boy.
I want beer.
Yeah. Good man. Oh, no, get here.
Oh my God, that's
awesome.
The best school ever, right?
Cheers.
We can now live these school days we never had when we were kids, right? Have beer, play games.
Speak for yourself.
Beer on your table.
Everyone drink a beer. Everyone drink a beer and play games.
Yes.
Go home, play games. It's all good.
Wow.
And you got to take control though. You got to take control of them.
Give me.
Everyone, don't behave.
I like this teacher.
No.
Absolute class teacher.
Anna, that must have been like, to go from that business, yeah, to going to develop a video game, that must have been quite scary.
Yeah, actually, scary was continuing that place. That was like scary. Continue working in the Justice Council for me was it was a nightmare. I love trying and learning new things and trying new things. So for me, leaving that job was actually really easy. After it wasn't scary. Scary was staying there actually.
So financially, did you save money ready for this venture?
So when I had the pie business, I had some money. I saved it. I had some savings to actually build the restaurant of the pies, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna move to making games. And I didn't have any knowledge at the time. I didn't have any. I didn't know how to make games. Just play it, right? So I had to start from zero. And I got this money. I sold my car, and I found a course I wanted to do in England. And I traveled to England. I did 1 year of games programming. It's called the SAE University. And then this course was basically you build your game engine in C++. It was really hardcore. And I'm glad that my first course was actually that way, because after when I learned Unity, I started learning Unity, I found it so easy and so good. And it's like when you learn how to drive a car, if you learn how to drive a hard one, you're going to really appreciate when you get a car that's more powerful.
One without power steering and one with power steering. So
yeah, Pixel Rip is my first game. It was actually the next course I did after this was the NFTS, which was 2 years, and that course was also in England. Was a master's degree, and then you have the last year just to do one game, and then when I did Pixel Rift, I don't know if you guys remember that. That was my student. That was my student project of that course. Like, this is 2014.
That was student project. That's crazy. That's because that's a lot as well. But that was a lot.
Yeah. And that was 3 years.
So it was always going to be virtuality. You was always going to go virtuality.
Oh,
yeah. That's the plan.
So why did you choose virtuality? What was your first experience of virtuality?
So actually, when I was studying at the NFTS, there was one other student. He was from the year before me. And he was did a VR in the DK. This is DK one time, so he did this VR experience. It was called the Sandman, and you would be in a boat. It was really chill. That was the first time I tried VR. And then I asked him, "Where did you get this?" And I got one like the next day. I got an Oculus. It's 2013, and then I just wanted to make VR, work with VR since that day. I tried a lot during the course, but then my course coordinator, he was it's a film school, so they are really traditional. So every project I'll go, I want to make in VR. No, there's no way to make storytelling in VR. And I'm like, come on.
Oh, wow.
But now they changed their minds. It's proven now that you can do storytelling really well in VR. But at the time, it was like crazy. How can you do a storytelling without controlling the cameras? But Pixel Rift, I managed to convince him, and I did Pixel Rift in VR.
Well, we are glad you did.
What games are your main inspiration for Pixel Rift?
Okay.
Did you play the game?
I played that. Did you guys ever play Going Home? It's like a indie game. It's So I had played that at the time. It's kind of a little bit retro. Yeah. It's kind of a little bit retro and. Thank you for
Ricky.
I love
Ricky.
Awesome.
And what I was saying, my inspirations there. So Mega Man, of course, is one big
Mega
one.
Man,
My hand.
Sonic,
Mario too. There's a lot of Mario there. A lot of old school platform games. So I kind of
Ghosts
at the time Yeah, Ghosts and Goblins is like at the NFTS. I actually played again the whole game. We had the Mega Drive there, and I played with a friend, and we got some Goblin beers, and we finished like in a weekend. Ghosts and Goblins.
That game is hard.
Are you much?
I finished that game.
Yeah, it's still really hard.
It was the best game ever.
Wow.
It was so hard though.
Yeah, that game is something else.
Well done.
It took
so
like a year or something to get that good at Jesus.
I got a question. Was there any Final Fantasy in like influenced for Pixel Rip? Because some of the characters, like the Master, kind of reminded me of Final Fantasy 1 a little bit. Some of the characters.
Oh yeah, Gold Cannon. Yeah, good point.
That is a little bit, but actually in the next games we're gonna go through more Final Fantasy reference. This one we focus more on the platform games.
See, I know how to ask the question.
She drank too much beer, guys. She drank too much beer. We can tell them, right?
Yeah, we can tell, but we're not gonna reveal. Yeah, we're gonna do an announcement when actually can say which one's gonna be the next episode. But we can say that we have planned 4 episodes coming in.
Yeah.
4 episodes.
So who here got to the end of the game? Cool. Who here got to the very end of the game?
Heck yeah!
So,
I did.
do you remember you can choose the year that goes next?
Yeah.
Yes.
What did everyone pick?
I chose SNES. SNES.
The newest looking one. It looked like Super Metroid looking.
Yeah.
N64 type.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I went like this.
Yes.
I went 90s.
So what did that do? Did that do anything? Did that?
Sorry, Ricky, you were saying. Sorry.
No, it's just we can tell what you guys picked. So not individually, but we have stats of what's the biggest. What's the most chosen one? Yeah.
That is
What is the most chosen one?
Stats.
Secret.
Yeah.
But that will be the next game. So
Yes.
Oh, bro,
We found it would be cool to have you guys decide in the next game, and we wanted
That's
to
really
put in
cool.
the game like analytics, so we can actually see the decisions, and it makes part of the story. Because if you see, Master is saying, "I don't know where Cyber Lord went, and I need help," and you guys decide where he was, where you think he went, which era, right? But we have these 4 episodes that we're gonna definitely do. We can say that. And then we're gonna be referencing more of these other games. Of course, Pixel Rip's gonna be the same plot. You always looking for Dot to help Dot get the stone, fight against Cyber Lord. But the game will change, and you'll be in different eras of video games, and then also the 3D world that you are. So in this one, you're in a classroom in England, and controlling Nicola. But the next ones, you'll be in a different places, different years, and different characters that Dot goes in a quest to control these players' bodies. And so imagine 1978 to be in Atari era, and the 70s, and so it's gonna change.
Can't wait.
I have a follow-up question for that. Will Dot get a partner?
Ooh.
Co-op partner.
So we discussed about having new characters coming, appearing, and like having options. They maybe have like special powers for other characters, but there's nothing decided yet. But we definitely want to do stuff like that. Different characters that will appear. Like in this one, we had Arturo. That's kind of a Super Ghost and Ghost one.
Yeah.
But we want to have these other characters, like we had the chicken, we have these other things happening.
Perhaps.
But it would be cool if you could control those characters, right? But it's
perhaps
not decided yet.
A cat sidekick.
There's so many ideas for that game, though.
So Pixel Rip was a Kickstarter, was it? Did you set up a Kickstarter for that, first of all? And how much of the game had you made before you met Avery here?
Ricardo, yeah. So actually the Kickstarter, this is a long time ago, and Kickstarter failed. But we got the investment from accelerator in Silicon Valley called Boost VC. They invest in VR companies and startups. And this is 2015. So it was, I got this early stage, I got some investment, so I got this Kickstarter that failed, and I got this accelerator that I invested. And then for 2016, I was self-funding the project. So it's kind of, money was gone, and I was self-funding the project. I had, we have freelancers around the world, the team, and people, friends that have been helping me out when they had time. It was really hard to finish a big project without a...
How much of the game was made at that point?
Kind of, when we met, we kind of had like probably... It feels like half of the game was done because the polish takes so long, right? The polish and the final stage of it was really long. So when I met Ricardo, actually, this was 2000. We met in first VR event.
2016. Yeah, 2016.
Yeah. And Ricardo had played the game in Oculus Share, so he knew the game. But we never had met, and we met in this event. And then we keep in touch. And then Ricardo, in 2000 last year, it's not a long time ago, announced that we're opening Albury. It's this amazing. It's like the focus in VR, immersive experience. We're gonna talk about that. Then we can talk a little bit about Albury.
Yeah, sure. But we decided to start this VR studio here in Brazil, which is a crazy adventure doing that here, you know. But we did it anyways, and we built a team, and we were doing some cool like VR experiences. And then I had already met Anna. She got in touch, and we started talking again. And at that time, she was living in the U.S., but she wanted to come back to Brazil, and we started talking. And we had a team. She needed to finish her project. Like you asked where the project was. Like the whole thing was there, but like there's so much polishing and so much. Like it wasn't still like ready to it wasn't ready to become a published game.
You'd
obviously seen the game. You'd obviously seen the game and thought this is going to be big.
Like from the very first version, like from her student project, I really loved it. Right, but when she published that student project on Oculus Share back in the day, like I had a DK2 and everything, and those times, like the things that were on Oculus Share weren't actually games, right? They're just a bunch of like weird tech demos. And then suddenly this thing was an actual game proposition, you know. So it was really interesting. But then when I played the game in 2016, it was only like the first level, right? That I had tried, and it was already super creative and super like interesting and everything. But when I saw that it had like other levels, and each level was almost a new game in terms of like what it brought to the table, right? It was so creative and so cool. Yeah, so we immediately said, let's do it together. Let's finish it. We have a team. Like we have the investment. We have the team. We can do the marketing. So that's how it went, right?
Yeah, it was the final push that I needed to finish this game, and has been great. We're actually gonna make the next games together. Avery is willing to invest, and we're gonna do it together. It's really exciting. Like it has been working really well. We kind of have the same love for VR. Actually, Ricardo, it's like a multitask CEO. He actually did the voice in the trailer. Do you want to do a little bit of the voice?
Oh God, why do you do that? Why do you do that to me? I'm shy. No, I can do it because I'm laughing. Let me drink a little beer before.
Liquid courage.
Here's the story. Okay, so I edited the trailer, right? And because the trailer was really cool, because like some friends from Anna's like university had shot that little kid. Have you guys seen the trailer with the little kid? Yeah. So some friends from her university had shot that scene with the little kid, but there was no trailer, right? There wasn't edited. It wasn't anything. So I edited it together, and I wrote some copy for what would be like the trailer. Like we wanted to make it cheesy, like a 1980s trailer, and then I recorded like placeholder voiceover, because I said like let me record my voice just to edit it, and then we'll find a suitable like voice actor or whatever like to do it. And then she wouldn't let me get rid of that voice.
Nice. It was good.
And then originally, I was doing the voice of the mom that appears in the beginning of the trailer as well. So like, it was like, So anyway, I did the mom, and it was like, outside, blah, blah, and that was horrible. So I said, okay, I'll keep my voice for the whole trailer except the mom. So who did the mom was actually the same guy who does the teacher, who is Gareth, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He actually said it. We actually spoke to him about doing the voice for the trailer, and he's like, "This voice actor you guys have is really good. You shouldn't take him out."
Nice. So it goes like, "Go outside your world and play now in an incredible new virtual world." I don't know. I said it. I'm gonna do it as a side gig now, right?
Good side gig.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love the trailers. That was so funny.
But yeah, it came out really cool. We did it in like this cheesy 1980s video game commercial style, and we want to do the next games the same thing, right?
That trailer is one of the best trailers I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
thanks.
Everything.
It's a really challenging game to it's a really challenging game to explain, right? Even if you ask me what is Pixel Art right now, like it's very hard to put it in one sentence. Like it's a very hard game to explain.
Yeah.
So the trailer was really challenging to do in a way that people even understand what the game was. So we just went for like, let's make it crazy and people will love it. And
There is a lot of people from the community in the game. We want to make this game like part of our. Really good. Actually, so we have Reality VR is actually in the game. He did this tips and trips. There's like a video that passed on the television. So if you shoot the TV on level 3, you can actually see him. You can see PSVR Frank. And we're now doing even a competition that anyone from the community can send a video, and the best video actually is still going on now. And if you guys want to send it, the video is going to be on that television, the best one. And we have like a DJ Catman, which is like a YouTuber. He's like a DJ that does remix from old school games. And I used to just listen to his music, and I contact the guy, can we put you in the game? So his voice is on the radio. We have all these people that we like to participate and...
That is awesome.
The music was really good.
The theme tune's just...
Thanks, the music...
insane, like, it's so good.
Yeah, the music was composed. The music was composed by Terrence Dunn. Is actually I met him at the NFTS still at the university, and he's still working and gonna be working with us in the next games. And it's
really clever melody.
There's a lot of love put in this project. It's been 4 years, so. Long time.
So today you made an announcement that Pixel Rip 1989 is going to launch in the EU, Australia, and New Zealand.
Yeah, finally! Oh my God!
For PlayStation.
Awesome.
Yes.
I mean, it was already there for Oculus and Steam, but not for PlayStation. So now it's coming out for PlayStation on all those territories, and
thank you very
really
much.
Cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You guys go into detail about why it took so long? I know that a lot of our European viewers have been, a little bit concerned about the delay getting there, but it seems to be something that a lot of developers have to deal with. Did you have to go through a lot of hoops? Is there something with the PEGI rating? Is it expensive? Like, what's the deal?
We had to do a separate QA process. So we released it on Sony is like separate. It's not like when you do an Oculus release or Steam release is all worldwide. But we did like a QA for just releasing on Americas, and then for Europe is a separate QA process, and it took 2 months. Unfortunately, like we try what we could, but we're a small team, and it's like it's a really bureaucratic process, and every time you change, you book a slot, it takes like 2 weeks.
It's very challenging. It's very challenging for a small team to even launch on PlayStation. There's a lot of the QA process is very, very involved, right? Especially for VR, it's extra stuff, right, for VR. And we had to
the Q&A process comes up every time.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that they do that because eventually you'll get better games and everything, right? But it's very challenging for a small team, and we made the decision early on that we would launch all VR platforms at the same time. So we launched on PlayStation, on Steam, on Oculus, on everything at the same time. And then when we noticed that the European process was an even separate one from that, there was no way we could do that as well at the same time. So we did that. We started doing that as soon as we could, but it still took a couple months to be able to finish.
So imagine like we had the game ready like 3 months. 3 months before we launched it. It could be released on Oculus and Steam, and we delayed 3 months just for Sony. And it was just America's. Imagine if it was a global Sony release, we would be like delaying for 5 months the game, and it's really sad. The only thing we could do, it was up on our hands that we could actually do was this competition. So we built a special competition just for Europe. Because all these contests we did before, they couldn't participate it, and I know it's frustrating for them. So we did this contest that the player that gets the most pixels on level 1 and then shares with us is gonna be actually in a cover of a magazine, and this is gonna be just Europe because we actually put inside the game the contest. So when you go in the classroom, there is the flyer of the contest in Nicola's desk, as the competition was actually going on inside her world, so it's quite cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so it took a long time. It's sad. We did the best we could, but we are the ones that went the most, right, to release this game. People are like, why it takes so long? We wanted to release it. They couldn't.
It's fine. It's done now. It's fine.
Hands are tied.
Yeah, it's gonna be out on the 16 now. We're actually gonna be in the VR Awards. It's like it's going on now in England.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah,
we are competing. Game of the Year.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I will be there with my
I think somebody has a question over there.
Oh, I didn't know if this is how we were doing it or not.
Ray is raising his hand.
It's a classroom.
Good day.
Awesome.
So you were saying the separate QA process. Like, it sounds like maybe the game was pretty much already done at that point and you had to reintroduce the QA. Did you find stuff that you ended up reintroducing back into the base game from that QA? Like, how different was the process?
Actually, it's kind of like we send the game is released in America, we say, here, the game is good, right? It's working. But then when you get the QA there, if the person that gets your game and it thinks there's something you have to improve it doesn't, it's like another QA process. So we had things like FPS.
I'm wondering, like, was it just frustrating, or did they give you any good ideas that you ended up using? You know, when.
Well, it's not the QA is not qualitative. It's not really qualitative QA. They don't say, change. This is a bad gameplay section. They don't do that. It's more like your frame rate here is going below X. It's more of a performance thing than it's to fit all the like necessities of the device and everything. It's not. They don't say like, oh, you change this level because it's this jump over here is too hard. They don't do that, right?
I gotta say something, because I was there watching them painfully watch you guys ask for the game, and they were like trying to get it to you guys, and they were desperate. And I was in Brazil, and it was so sad seeing them, want the game to get to everybody. But here's what happened. It's Sony. Sony is the one that did it, and this is what happens exactly. They said, here's their awesome game. Dave, you play it. What's wrong with it? And the Dave says, this is what's wrong, and we fix it. And they're like, cool. And the next time they're like, Gamertag, you play it. What's wrong with the game? And then every time they're like, and then now you play it. They never give it back to Dave. They just keep changing it around. So it's opinion-based. And these guys tried so hard. It was so hard to watch it and see it. Anyways, they
mute button, guys.
They have a very specific process on that. Like, one person's given something, they just have to go, yeah, as a focus. Sony has like a kind of thing, you get one job handed to you, and you just do that. And you don't.
It's like in big corporations, you have like siloed things. So like one division doesn't talk to the other. You know how it is, right? So it's just a big process, and it's very hard to like. So and for us now, it's the issue is like we have two separate branches of the game. So like we have to go through QA for updates separately. We have to go through. So it's like very complicated because we did a day one patch on. We did a day one patch on the US on the Americas version, and then we said, can we already send you the version with the patch? No, we had to do like the whole QA process for both the patch and the game again. So it's a little bit complicated, but I mean, it worked out. It worked out in the end.
If you compare, like, so imagine like when you had to change bug. So remember that bug you found? Like someone found the bug. Hey, is it gonna be fixed? On Oculus, we can go there, do the change, and then update it and get it the same day, like again in the store. Just do an update. It's in the store. Steam is quick too, but then Sony is gonna take few more weeks because we have to book a slot. We have to do then you have to wait for passing and everything. It's cool. It is a bureaucratic. It's a big corporate company, and then like for example, sorry.
No, go. Sorry.
So, for example, one of the bugs we had the last time now in Europe was like the FPS was falling. If you watch, the main menu in the classroom, if you watch the whole television trailers at the end, the logo explodes. At that moment, the FPS will fall for a few seconds. But like, would you rather have game now or wait for 2 months? It's like, it's one of this is the thing, like. And then you fix that, you send it, but then they may come with the problems that they didn't say before, and then you send it again.
There was a game recently come out called Trickster. And basically the multiplayer was cut. And when I spoke to the developer, he said it's because every 2 minutes it dropped 2 frames. So you had to cut 8 months.
Well, why can't you just take a creature out or something to make up for that?
Yeah. That's not to say it won't come in the future, but
I imagine.
I'm just saying. That's pretty harsh.
It's difficult, especially for VR. They're really. You can't lose frames, right? It's very, very strict, and like even in our loading screens, we had a frame dip in it was all white, and they would still there's a frame drop here in the fully white loading screen, right? And that one they eventually waived.
Get through this process.
Good lord.
So
do you guys
actually,
feel
this
like
is
overall? Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I was just going to say, do you feel like their stringent process, like it has to be exactly perfect? Do you think in the long run that's going to help them or hurt them, like in the VR market? Because if everything is much more of a hassle for developers, but PC VR gets to be a lot easier, it's like, does Sony keep that market share if everything runs as reliably?
I guess that depends how much money they make as well, or how much money
I mean, they are the biggest platform right now, and I think the extra
in the future, I guess.
The extra care helps with the curation, so I'm sure eventually what gets to their platform is something that went through this whole process. So you at least you have a quality guarantee of quality and everything. I mean, there are benefits to it, but it is not friendly for a very small developer, for sure. It's not, but I mean, eventually you'll get through the process and make it work. So I think there are pros and cons, but. There's pros and cons to both ways to do it,
I'm sure the next time we do it, it's gonna be easier.
There was a learning curve for us as well, in terms of. We learned the whole it's very, very, very involved. So we learned the whole process as we did it. So there was a learning curve too. I'm sure the next time is gonna be much better. So
I've got some viewer questions, both. And if you want to ask any questions, anyone, all you've got to do is on the announcement videos, use the hashtag questions. First one is from Met Club. Are there any updates planned for Pixel Ripped 1989?
So we have a Halloween special planned. Actually working on this right now.
What? Halloween special. God, Kenan loves a bit of Halloween.
That's so good. I've just got my card in time to play it as well. Yay.
So actually I'm working on this right now. We are right now working on it. Actually Unity is still open here on my computer, but it's gonna be just a Easter egg. It's a Easter egg free little level that you guys can play, and it's just a funny joke with the classroom. There's all kind of a nightmare of Nicole, but yeah, it's coming on Halloween, and we're gonna be on discount on Halloween for Oculus, and when it comes, we're gonna be posting when we have more details. But yeah, that's the only thing I can say for now.
Awesome.
It's gonna be it's gonna be entirely free content that we're just giving people because we love them.
Super.
Yes, that's amazing. Very good.
Nice.
Can't wait.
When Pixel Rip launch in the EU, it will have a pre-order discount, I believe. Is that going to come up a few days before, or is it,
Yeah, it will be 20% discount for 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, not pre-order. We did pre-order on since we weren't able to do pre-order on EU, we're just going to have 2 weeks after launch. It's going to be a 20% discount. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, no. So, the next question from Geox is, do you have a next VR project?
Pixel Ripped, and there is the Arvory. So we have the next Pixel Rips coming, 4 episodes planned, but Arvory also has a bunch of we have a bunch of other projects working there. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can't talk about specifically about all the any of them right now, but yeah, we got the sequel of Pixel Ripped, which we're starting as soon as this whole as soon as we finish this whole part of Anna's not Anna's in the US right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a hotel room now in Santa Clara. Waiting
so
for
as we already started the project in terms of the initial creation of the of the concepts and everything, but
storyboard,
yeah. But we're gonna actually start for real like once she comes back, and then and this one won't take 4 years. This is something, right?
Yeah. Oh my god. No.
This one, this is for the PSVR 3, right?
No.
4 years.
So you're saying the PSR 3 there already?
Yeah.
No, but this one won't take 4 years. No. This one won't take 4 years, and but we also at Harvard we have some cool projects in the pipeline. We'll be able to talk more about them soon, but we have a bunch of cool things in the works. Yeah.
So Piffy, he wants to know if Pixel Ripped is coming out in Australia, which it is.
Yay!
Our models, the game is now. Yeah, just announced today. Yeah, the game is also being released in the EU. Our models, Polish Paul. Will there be different time periods added to your game? The Pixel Ripped, which is the 4 chapters you're talking about.
Yeah, so yeah, the 4 chapters at the end. These are the 4 next episode that we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, each one.
So you're gonna have Atari era in the 70s. We're gonna be having like arcades, and we're gonna have like Nintendo and the fight against Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. That era that was great. And
Nintendo
1999. The first 3D games in 1999, so we're gonna, of course, reference different games and different eras, but Pixel Ripped is still gonna be the same. It's still gonna be Dot, fighting together Pixel Stone and Cyber Lord, but we're gonna be referencing all these different eras and years of video games.
Fingers crossed for Dreamcast. If I see a Dreamcast out.
The next question is from our Danish. Where's Danish? Do you remember your
Bacon.
question?
No.
Right, so your question was...
My answer is yes.
Yeah. Why did you choose the specific handheld? I think it's the Game Kid, isn't it? In your,
Gear Kid.
what? That's.
Yeah.
What is it? The Gear Kid?
Yeah.
The Gear Kid.
Get with the program.
What is it? I throw it. So that era, 1989, it was the year of the Game Boy. So we want to reference that. Here you go. But also, we want to have a console that had its own identity, and it's kind of mixed with the Game Boy, the Game Gear.
Yeah.
But the Game Gear was a
But if that console existed at the time, it would be a winner. Just like the graphics are really good.
The game is too good. The game is too good for an 8-bit game, right? Like those games, but still. And definitely I don't remember like them becoming 3-dimensional on my school table, but
yeah, cool. And the last question is from Jason the Livinator, the producer of the show. What was your inspiration in making the game? Was it childhood memories or just a loving gaming?
Wow, it was a mix of both. I started with this dream I had. I was really struggling to decide what was going to be my final project, and I couldn't come with ideas. I was going to work on this carnival game, Brazilian carnival game, and my course coordinator was like pushing me, no, you should write it at least 5 different ideas. And then I had this dream that I was playing a game, and it was quite crazy. Like I was playing a game on the TV, and every time the game involved in graphics, the whole living room was like changing, pixelating, and then there was until the graphics were like realistic and everything was merged together. So I woke up and I was telling everyone about this dream, and everyone, all my colleagues were like, all my colleagues were like, this is a great idea. And I was like, yeah, I want to make a game about the history of video games and that feeling of playing a game and following that game changing. You know, when you remember when you're a kid and you play like, I want to see how Mario's going to look now. I want to see how, you know, these characters that the old games that you kind of follow and you see them evolving and change. Started from that. And then, of course, I had some things that made me change a lot. Like we had a lot of bugs that changed the game, like the boss battle moment when the characters are all out of the console. This was actually a bug. I wasn't planning to be in the game. The 2D character, I forgot to tell the camera, don't draw that character outside the TV. And I was playing the game on the TV, and the dots start jumping around like this 2D sprites, huge, and that really changed the game. It was a whole process of development, but
so Pixel Ripped come from a dream. That is amazing.
Yes.
That is
dream come true. Dream come true.
Yeah.
Literally dream come true. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Did you have any feedback on the final boss? A lot of people have complained about how difficult it is, and that took just as long to beat the final boss as the entire game.
We actually did some
feedback then.
We actually did some improvement on we made it a little bit, we polished a little bit, balanced the gameplay there. It was a little bit, a big pick, of difficulty in the end. Ideally, next game, we actually spoke about making you can choose a normal, easy or hardcore mode, and then we're gonna have levels of the whole game's gonna be hard or easy, you know.
That's not a bad idea, but you've got to reward the people who get through that, because that last level, man, I wanted to give up.
No. You guys need to go play some more Mega Man. Play some more Mega Man, then come back and talk to me.
You remember back in the day, games were hard back in the day, right? So this is something.
Check the Twitter account.
This is something. It's something funny because while we do get a lot of feedback about it, some people actually like that it's super hard. But I think there's a balance in the middle. You know. Also, we realized some people didn't notice that you could use the spitball to destroy the fire circles in the last boss. You know. And that's I don't know even how.
Just for reference, I haven't actually finished it because I haven't got the power on my graphics card because I'm on PC side, not on the PSVR side. So I wanted to stream the whole game, but I couldn't because I was getting frame rate issues while streaming. So I haven't finished it yet. So I've got a new graphics card and we'll be finishing this off.
Maybe that's Sony's problem, dude. Maybe they're using your PC to Q&A the games.
That's clear. Shh, you weren't supposed to say about this. It's supposed to be a secret, dude. It's supposed to be a secret.
About the difficulty, you guys think is a good idea. The next game we choose hard, easy, and or
better.
It won't be hard, easy, normal. It will be easy, normal, and old school, right?
Yes.
Hardcore.
I like that.
Hardcore all the way.
You should do it in
Hardcore
years. You should
all
go
day.
80s, 90s.
Good idea.
The harder it is.
I have been playing a lot of
Battletoads.
I've been playing. I was telling Donkey Kong and all this. I've been playing with the Super Nintendo Classic a lot, and I like it. You can spend days in one level and dying and coming back in again. I don't remember any game nowadays that I actually have that feeling.
Frozen level.
I will say the Donkey Kong still ships it.
Tropical freeze, man.
New Donkey Kong is still really difficult.
As much as that last level was really hard, you got that feeling of accomplishment at the end of it.
And it's the end of the game, right? It's the final boss. I really like boss battles, and I made it. I'm really excited about this boss battle, and I think we maybe got too excited, and when we realized that the boss battle was rounds inside rounds, and the last round had 3 rounds, and I think it was also because I didn't want to finish the game. Maybe I was just trying to make the game longer and longer and longer. But it became this huge boss battle. Boss battles should be epic, right?
Yes.
And should be long with.
Yes.
Of course.
It was epic.
Hell yeah.
It was
I think we should
4
give
transitions of one boss.
I think we should give options for everyone.
Chuck! Where is he?
Go for it, Chuck.
Well, just to jump in on there, Dark Souls would be the exception to that rule for modern gaming.
Bloodborne,
boss fights and all that stuff. But anyway,
Super Meat Boy 2.
There you go.
Super Meat Boy.
Cuphead.
Anna, Ricky, my
Cuphead.
question for you is, and this is for me actually, From the developer's perspective, and you talked about 5-year goals, 5-year plans, where do you see VR in the next 5 years and say 10 years?
Wow. 5 years and 10 years and 15. Do you want to talk to?
We can do 5. We can just do 5.
I see, especially now with the Quest, I got really excited about it because it's still nowadays, like, we have so many set up to play a game. Like yesterday we tried to play a game, Reality Check VR, and oh my god, I was like, why? I just want to put a headset and play it, and there's always these steps that something goes wrong and all this stuff. And I believe in 5 years at least we will have like actually be able to get like with the Quest is going to be opening a big market. So the market is stabilizing now, it's getting there, but I think in 5 years we will be having like maybe then Apple will announce something to there, I hope. Probably like the next few years, less than 5 years, but I hope in the 5 years that probably VR is going to be at least something more common to people. Like nowadays it's still walking, people don't know what it is. Mainstream, easy to pick it up and just put it in your head, you know?
Yeah. Like obviously we are fully committed to it, right? We have a company that does VR exclusively, so and we got investments and like we believe in it. But I love a phrase that I heard from I was at Oculus Connect last week, and Michael Abrash, the scientist at Oculus, he I don't know if you guys watched the keynote, but he showed a sentence by Steve Jobs at the end of his presentation. Yeah, and basically he said when Steve Jobs saw the first, like at Xerox PARC, like the first computer that they had developed, they didn't know what to do with it, with like a mouse and a graphical interface, like basically everything that we use for like so many years after. And Steve Jobs said you could argue like when it was gonna happen and who would make it, but you couldn't argue it was inevitable, you know, like, and that's what I feel about VR. Like it's gonna happen. I mean, maybe. We all feel, yeah. So that's what I feel. I feel like it's closer than that, and I feel like all these hurdles are already being overcome. So I feel like it's closer than we even think. Technology moves very fast, right? And it's growing. So I mean, look at this, guys. We're in a virtual classroom talking, and I'm in Brazil. She's in California. Like what the hell? Yeah.
We're in a virtual reality talk show talking about virtual reality.
I don't believe in virtual reality. That wouldn't work, right? If I said that now. I mean,
I've got a lot of people asking about the Oculus Quest. How do you feel about the Oculus Quest?
Wow, we played the arena there and Dead and Buried. That was really impressed. I was really impressed with the tracking. I forgot I was in VR. I actually felt like I was playing like a paintball. I was actually putting my hands in the box, like you had all those big boxes that they had there. And they didn't have any sensors. They said they didn't do any previous setup there, just these white tapes, and it was incredible.
I think it's a game. Yeah.
The best moment was when you have your team in the other side, and you have so you can still see the world now. That's a big game change for me. Like you can see
and
the outside world all the time. So imagine like you're drinking a beer, and in VR, like it happens with me many times. I'm drinking a beer and I throw the beer on the computer, and I burn myself with tea, and this is not gonna happen anymore because now you have the camera, and you can now press a hold A, and you can actually access that camera, and you can see everyone outside, and then you come back. It's kind of like a take on me effect, like black and white, really weird, but really cool. That was
it was so cool, like because it has a
push the technology.
Yeah, and it has like it has sound, but like the headphone is open, like kind of like the Oculus Go, right? And for the arena game, that was really useful because I was on Anna's team, and I would like go up to next to her and say, "Oh, let's go over there," blah blah, and we could hear each other and see each other's avatars.
High five.
Yeah, and real high fives. Yeah, so cool. But I think it's a complete game changer, man. I mean, sure, it's not the same graphics as an Oculus Rift or anything, but the tracking is incredible. I couldn't even tell like the blind spot for the controllers. It was incredible.
The point is, everyone's gonna play catch up. It's gonna push things forward for every.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought they got such a good price, $3.99 for the whole thing.
We actually want to say that we want to be a launch title for Quest. We're actually now talking to Oculus about it, and because of all the optimization we done for Sony, at least this is gonna be good because all this optimization we would have to do anyway for the Quest, and we kind of halfway through. So this is gonna help us out to be a launch title in the Quest. So we are trying to right now to see that happening. So. Exciting.
Awesome.
Got a question. Just from the PC side, you have that other mode in there, so you press F10, so it's like a streamer's mode. How long did that take? I mean, that was a different approach because every time you lifted the console up, you had different presentation layers going on. The other one was, did you look at something like Live as well for streamers so that you could have another camera in Pixel Ripped, so we could actually have the streamer in the middle and the extra overlay?
Yeah, we're actually really friends with the people at Live, and we actually talked about this. We just didn't have time to implement it yet, but it's something that we might do, like do the mixed reality thing. Yeah, but.
That camera. We had
talked about this.
We have to do He's been asking this one. We actually, that camera we had it in that F10 and F11 that make you a better field of view. We did that for the trailer because we need to record the trailer, and then when we recorded, the images were like too close and you couldn't see the Game Boy. So Zed, we have this wizard. He's like a Carmack guy. He works in Harvard with us, and he built this. He programmed these cameras, and then we thought Nate and then was asking like, could you have like a better field of view? Because, and then some streamers like found really useful. We sent to them this. Let's just use what we done. Like we done for the trailer, but it's really useful to record any videos. So we just share with the community. But
same for me. Yeah. I had to. I read that and was sort of like, oh yeah, okay, we do the F10, and I didn't realise actually that also it's really weird. You guys, only the PSVR side, you didn't have the same thing, but whenever you pulled your game, well, I keep on calling it Game Boy, but whenever you pulled the game up, there was a screen in the separate side that would actually display as well. So whenever you pick the game out of view and you can't see it, your audience can't see it, and that was like really, really awesome. I love that.
This is because we have in the game, we already programmed that we know when the player is looking to the Game Boy or not, so we just use that to check, and then we activate this camera straight from the game camera because we have that camera in the game, in the other game. So the other game has a camera, and we just activate that camera.
And the interesting thing is the picture-in-picture idea, like this little picture-in-picture. It came when we were discussing having a mixed reality, because we said if we put mixed reality and we like show the person from the outside, how are the viewers gonna see like the game, right? Because the game is in the game. But we still didn't implement the mixed reality, but the picture-in-picture is there. But mixed reality would look very strange, because I don't know if any of you guys like, I don't know if any of you guys like walked around. Yeah, it would look awesome, but because the scale is different. So because you're a little 9-year-old girl, right? So like the gear kit in your hand would look like a huge thing, right, in your head. Yeah, but we still want to try it. And the other funny thing is we'd have to disable the avatar of the little girl's body. I don't know how many of you guys walked around, but the avatar doesn't have a head. Right, and that led to some funny streamer moments. Like there are a bunch of streams where the streamer's like going, and then he like looks around and goes ah! and then starts screaming because it's a headless child.
Actually. I think we look brilliant, right? Maybe it would be so weird. That would be funny.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Check VR is like, let's do it.
Yeah, man. Right, awesome. Anna, I've got to thank you ever so much for coming on the PSVR chat show. We're going to have to give it a wrap there. But thank you very much for coming on. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you so much.
Thank you ever so much. I believe you've got a giveaway going on Twitter.
Hey, don't forget to upload the picture.
Oh, there's pizza?
We gotta take a picture.
Yeah, we'll get the picture.
Oh, I never seen pizza here.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Pizza, pizza, Game Boy.
Thank you guys all for coming in.
You can take a picture. Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, Ricky, hold on. You gotta give me a high five. There we go.
I haven't even.
There we go. I think we did it now.
I'm not
Shiny.
I'm not friends with you. I'm not, so it's a difference.
Take care, everyone.
Absolutely
Are we
amazing.
friends already?
Thank you for coming up. It's been amazing.
Let's get a picture with everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. How do I do this? All right.
And I have to say you've been nominated
There we go. That's it. That one done. Cool.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, I know,
I'm
right?
going to be sending you guys an email about that shortly.
Thanks, brother.
Send me an email.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you.
I don't know.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Juice.
I'll try and get it done, but all these handshaking is amazing.
So,
Are we friends?
yeah, we are.
Nice to meet you.
So, man, I gotta say,
Are we friends, right?
I gotta say, so Mega Man 2,
There we go.
Nice to meet you. Oh, God.
There we go.
You're not supposed to do opposite hands.
Alright,
We're playing somewhere. That's been crazy.
So Mega Man 2 is,
nice to meet you.
it's tough. Is my mic up?
Thank you. That was great to meet you.
I just love Mega Man 2, that's all I want to say. I love Mega Man 2.
Sorry.
Callum, did I
that's
do
nice.
earlier?
Sorry, again.
Great man. Oh, what's up, Saucy?
I can only control.
Meow. What's up, we friends yet? Let's get on here. Oh yeah. Ooh, I made it, guys. What's up, everybody?
Selfie? Want a selfie?
Nice to meet you.
Let's do a selfie.
Yeah. No, I know. I like turned around. You're like in the corner, all huddled up.
Yeah, just trying not to. I don't know. I'm a bad student, man. Like I listen to everyone else talk. I'm like, I don't know how to do this without talking.
No, you're good, man. Well, I appreciate you coming, dude.
Recroom.net.
I appreciate seeing you here, man.
Yeah, man. Awesome.
I am out. Take it easy, everybody.
All right, later, guys.
Guys, we're gonna do
Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, wait for the photo. Wait for the photo.
I guess I'll wait for the photo.
Yeah, man.
Group picture.
It must be late there, right?
Let's do a group picture, guys.
I'm gonna try to get it going.
Where's the photo happening?
I thought my question was already.
He's doing it.
Got it.
Group picture.
Group picture.
I'll kneel.
Right on top of the table.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, if
How
anyone
many people?
wants to know, Vel, Dork the Awkward, Jason, Jimmy and Seraphim built this world, so that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. I don't think it doesn't show the names.
Hey. What's going on? We're just trying to get a good picture of that.
Where's the camera?
I'm like gonna be like jumping in the back. Oh my god.
We good?
Everybody look towards the camera. 1, 2,
Jim is coming through.
3.
Say Mega Man.
Cheers.
Can you
upload it? Forget this time. Everybody have it. You guys all have it now. I forgot last time. Thanks for showing up, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this. I gotta show
It was so good. That was so good.
Amazing.
Oh, look, there's a cartridge.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Nice.
This is amazing.
All right, thank you everybody for joining in. I love you guys. You guys are the best. I really appreciate you.
The guys that really helped us out the most, they're there. Let me introduce you to them.